They are the first to smile in a crowded room, yet the last to ever truly let you in. You know their favorite coffee, but you have no idea what keeps them awake at 3 in the morning. Their warmth feels like a summer day, but it is a sun that never quite reaches the skin. They are present in every photograph, yet they remain a ghost in the stories that actually matter. A bridge is built, the wood is polished, but the gate at the end is perpetually locked. Observing the subtle architecture of these guarded souls allows us to understand the silent boundaries that define our own social existence. The world often mistakes their polished kindness for a deep desire for connection, assuming that a friendly greeting is an open invitation to their inner sanctum. Society labels them as charismatic and easygoing, never suspecting that the smile they wear is a sophisticated piece of armor designed to keep the world at bay. Colleagues describe them as the life of the office, yet they are the ones who disappear the moment the clock strikes 5, leaving no trail behind. They are seen as confident and secure because they never ask for help, hiding their vulnerabilities behind a curtain of pleasantries and lighthearted, meaningless conversation. People assume they have 100 close friends, when in reality, they have 1,000 acquaintances and perhaps no one who knows their true, unedited face. The extrovert label is slapped onto them like a badge, ignoring the fact that their sociability is a calculated performance rather than a genuine thirst for intimacy. They are often called reliable and steady, but this reliability is a way to maintain a safe distance, ensuring that no one ever has a reason to lean too close. Neighbors think they are being open because they wave and chat about the weather, failing to realize that the weather is the safest, most neutral ground possible. When they decline an invitation with a graceful excuse, people see a busy schedule rather than a carefully maintained boundary that protects their private, solitary world. Even those who consider themselves close may feel a sudden, inexplicable chill, a realization that they have been standing in the foyer of this person's life for years. There is a unique loneliness in being known by everyone but understood by no one, a feeling that many have carried in silence while the world keeps smiling back. This public warmth serves a specific purpose, acting as a decorative shield that masks the more complex and structured patterns of their internal social defense systems. The pattern is one of a controlled environment, where friendliness acts as a buffer rather than a bridge, keeping the world at a comfortable arm's length. This behavior is a sophisticated form of social management, where the individual provides just enough warmth to satisfy others without ever becoming truly entangled. They operate on the principle of high visibility but low accessibility, ensuring that while everyone sees them, no one can actually touch the core of their being. The kindness they offer is a generic currency, a universal language that works for everyone but belongs to no one in particular, creating a false sense of intimacy. It is a defense mechanism built on the fear that true closeness brings the risk of being seen, judged, and ultimately discarded by those who matter. By being universally liked, they eliminate the friction of conflict, yet they also eliminate the depth that only comes from allowing someone to see their flaws. The boundary they set is invisible, made of pleasantries and light laughter, which feels like an invitation but functions as a very firm and unyielding no. They have mastered the art of the deflective conversation, turning every personal question back onto the speaker with a grace that feels like genuine and deep interest. The goal is to remain a permanent enigma, a person who is everywhere in the social fabric but nowhere in the emotional history of the people around them. This pattern is often unconscious, a habit formed long ago to protect a sensitive interior from the unpredictable and often painful whims of human connection and rejection. They are the architects of the pleasant distance, a space where they can observe the world safely without ever having to step fully into the light themselves. This protective layer, once identified, begins to show its cracks in the mundane interactions of daily life, where the performance of friendliness meets the reality of need. In the workplace, they are the colleague who remembers your birthday and brings the cake, yet never attends the after-work drinks where secrets are shared. They listen to your problems with a nodding head and a sympathetic "I understand," but they never offer a single detail about their own personal struggles. During a group dinner, they are the one who keeps the conversation moving, filling every silence with a joke to prevent any moment of genuine emotional gravity. If a friend reaches out in a moment of crisis, they provide practical help and a kind word, but they pull away as soon as things get heavy. In romantic beginnings, they are charming and attentive, creating a whirlwind of fun that masks the fact that they haven't shared a single deep truth. When an argument arises, they retreat into a shell of politeness, refusing to engage in the messy conflict that is necessary for two souls to truly grow. They are the neighbor who spends 20 minutes talking about gardening, yet you realize after 3 years that you don't even know if they have siblings. At a wedding, they dance with everyone and toast the couple, but they are the first to leave, slipping out quietly before the truly intimate moments begin. If you ask them how they are really doing, they give a polished answer about work or a hobby, redirecting the lens before you can see the shadow. In social media spaces, they post beautiful, curated snapshots of a life that looks inviting. Yet the captions are always witty and never truly personal or raw. They have a way of making you feel like the most important person in the room, while simultaneously making it clear that you are not in their inner circle. If they are ever caught in a moment of genuine sadness, they hide it behind a quick smile and a change of subject, terrified of being a burden. Even in long-term relationships, there is a sense that a part of them is always packed and ready to leave, a suitcase hidden under a very tidy bed. They are the masters of the check and text, sending a brief thinking of you that fulfills the social obligation without requiring a long or deep follow-up. This constant maintenance of the perimeter requires an immense amount of energy, eventually leading to a psychological exhaustion that most people will never have to face. This behavioral architecture is often rooted in avoidant attachment, where the individual learned early in life that closeness is synonymous with a loss of autonomy or a risk of profound emotional pain. The brain views intimacy as a threat to safety, triggering the sympathetic nervous system to maintain a state of high social performance that prevents others from getting close enough to cause harm. Psychologically, this is known as social monitoring, where the person is hyper-aware of their own presentation, ensuring they remain likable enough to be safe but mysterious enough to stay protected. It can also stem from a fear of being a burden, a belief that their internal world is too heavy or complex for others to carry without eventually causing resentment or abandonment. The mask of congeniality acts as a cognitive buffer, allowing the individual to interact with the world through a persona that is disconnected from their actual, vulnerable, and often tired emotional core. There is often a history of hyper-independence, where the individual was forced to rely only on themselves, leading to a psyche that views needing others as a dangerous and unacceptable weakness. The dopamine hit from being liked by many replaces the oxytocin of deep bonding, providing a safer, more controlled form of social validation that does not require the risk of exposure. By maintaining a wide but shallow social network, they ensure that if one connection fails, the structure of their life remains intact and their sense of self-worth is not destroyed. They are often high in agreeableness on a surface level, but this is a tactical trait used to smooth over any potential conflict that might force a deep and honest confrontation. The ego finds security in being the helper or the listener, as these roles provide a position of power that keeps the focus on others and away from their own hidden wounds. This internal compartmentalization allows them to function at a high level, yet it creates a psychic wall that separates their public performance from their private reality in a painful way. As this psychological wall thickens, it begins to alter the very nature of their relationships, creating a ripple effect that touches every person who attempts to cross the invisible line. For those who try to love them, the experience is often one of a confusing and persistent longing, as they are met with warmth that never quite turns into a fire. Friends may feel a sense of gaslighting by kindness, where the analyzer is so polite that it feels impossible to bring up the fact that they are emotionally absent. It creates a dynamic of one-sided vulnerability, where the other person shares their heart while the friendly but distant individual remains a perfectly polished and unmoving stone wall. Partners often describe a feeling of hitting a glass ceiling in the relationship, where they can see the person's potential for depth but are never allowed to actually enter it. The consistency of their friendliness can eventually feel robotic or insincere, leading others to wonder if the smile they see is the same one given to a total stranger. This lack of friction means there is also a lack of growth, as the relationship remains stuck in a permanent honeymoon phase of politeness that avoids the depths of truth. People around them may eventually stop trying to reach in, assuming the person is simply private, which inadvertently reinforces the analyzer's secret belief that they are truly all alone. The emotional labor of trying to connect with a moving target is exhausting, often leading friends to drift away in search of someone who is more real and messy. It can trigger deep insecurities in others, making them feel as though they are not interesting or worthy enough to be trusted with the analyzer's true and inner thoughts. The analyzer's presence can feel like a performance, making social gatherings feel slightly performative for everyone else, as they unconsciously mirror the high-level and safe conversation being offered. You may have felt the frustration of trying to hold on to someone who feels like water, slipping through your fingers even as they tell you exactly what you want to hear. This distance is not a lack of love, but a survival tactic that, while protecting the individual, often starves the very connections they need to truly feel alive in the world. This ability to remain friendly yet detached grants them a unique position as a neutral observer, capable of navigating toxic environments without becoming poisoned by the drama surrounding them. They are the ultimate diplomats in a chaotic world, possessing the composure to de-escalate tensions because they are not emotionally entangled in the petty grievances of the group or tribe. Their lack of dependency on others makes them incredibly resilient, as they have cultivated a self-contained universe where their happiness is not tied to the shifting moods of those around them. They provide a safe harbor for the secrets of others, because they are seen as stable and objective, a listener who will not use your vulnerability as a weapon later. While others are blinded by the heat of passion or anger, the friendly but distant individual maintains a cool perspective that allows them to see the most logical path forward in crisis. They are masters of boundaries, teaching those around them that it is possible to be a kind and contributing member of society without sacrificing every ounce of one's privacy. Their kindness is a choice rather than a compulsion, meaning that when they do offer help, it is often incredibly efficient and focused on solving the problem at hand. By keeping their inner world private, they protect a sacred space for creativity and self-reflection that is never muddied by the expectations or the projections of the outside world. This strength, however, carries a silent cost that begins to manifest in the quiet hours when the social mask is finally removed and the performance comes to an end. The shadow of this lifestyle is a profound sense of existential isolation, where the individual realizes they have built a beautiful home that no one is allowed to enter. They may experience a terrifying disconnect from their own identity, as they spend so much time being who others need them to be that they forget who they actually are. Because they never share their burdens, the weight of their own life becomes a crushing pressure that they must carry entirely alone, leading to sudden and unexplained periods of burnout. The lack of deep connection can lead to a feeling of hollowness, where life becomes a series of pleasant events that leave no lasting impression on the soul or the heart. They are often haunted by the fear that if they ever did let the mask slip, the people who claim to love them would be repulsed by the reality beneath. This fear creates a self-fulfilling prophecy of loneliness, where they reject others before they can be rejected, ensuring they remain safe but entirely and utterly disconnected from human warmth. They may find themselves looking at long-term friends and feeling like strangers, realizing that years of interaction have yielded nothing but a collection of polite and superficial memories. The dark side of being universally liked is the realization that no one loves the real you, because you have never given them the opportunity to see anything but the sun. This internal freezing of the emotions can eventually lead to a state where they can no longer feel the highs or the lows of the human experience at all. The mind of the friendly but distant individual acts as a one-way mirror, allowing them to witness the raw emotions of others while their own reflections remain perfectly still. They collect the stories of everyone they meet, cataloging the fears and dreams of acquaintances like artifacts in a museum that they themselves will never actually inhabit. This internal distance creates a strange sense of timelessness, as if they are watching the movie of their own life from the back row of a very quiet theater. They are the ones who can walk through a crowd and feel entirely invisible, even as they exchange greetings and smiles with every person who happens to pass them by. The archive they maintain is filled with the data of human connection, yet it lacks the messy, blood-filled reality of actually belonging to a person or a specific place. They often wonder if the people they are so kind to ever suspect the cold, analytical precision that exists just beneath the surface of their very warm hello. There is a quiet power in being the one who knows everything and says nothing, yet this power eventually turns into a cage made of their own ironclad and rigid secrets. Perhaps you have looked into the eyes of a friend and felt them retreating into a hidden room, or maybe you are the one currently locking the door. The search for safety through distance is a long and winding road that eventually leads back to the realization that a life without risk is a life without light. The cycle of the pleasant stranger is a masterpiece of social engineering, designed to provide the maximum amount of approval with the minimum amount of personal and emotional cost. They will continue to smile, to listen, and to nod, maintaining the perfect temperature for a world that prefers the comfort of a sun that never burns. Behind the curtain, the individual remains untouched, a silent witness to a life that they are technically living but rarely ever truly feeling with their whole heart. The pattern is a testament to the human need for protection, a reminder that some souls prefer the safety of the foyer to the warmth of the hearth. They are everywhere and nowhere at once, a friendly ghost in the machine of human interaction, forever watching the world from the safety of a polite and quiet distance. This is not judgment. It's a pattern. Subscribe if you want to recognize them before they recognize you.